with having surgery and everything. So there are a lot of success stories, man. You know, and you just got to get a second and third opinion.
Yeah, people be afraid sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, football.
I got my leg playing football, broken fracture. You know, they were trying to. No, I'm not going to cut on my neck. No. I got 39 years.
Alhamdulillah, the praise of Allah, send the salutations upon the noble Prophet. This is the last segment for the 4-day Memorial Day weekend seminar dealing with the relationships between children, parents, spouses, close relatives, distant relatives, friends, the non-Muslims. All of those things we covered in the 4 days. How to deal with them, how to treat them, etc. As it relates to some issues, because this is just in brief, we have a lot of things that we didn't mention. Now I want to mention some of the reasons and ways people get divorced, what brings it about, because this is the opposite of knowing the rules, regulations regarding relationships and the rights. Now you need to know how they can be violated. And this is something in the religion we learn both the good and the bad. So people say, well, I don't need to know that. Just teach me what's good and beneficial. No, but the Prophet ﷺ taught a man the bad things because that person wanted to know the bad things so they wouldn't fall into it thinking that this is not bad. And sometimes it happens. You think something is okay, but it's not. So if you don't learn like those misconceptions about those bad things, you may fall into it. So this is the wisdom behind why I said we want to deal with the different types of divorce and reasons for divorce. So the first one, if we deal with, I'm going to take this one last because this one I made like notes, and this was the last point I made, so we're going to take that first. So it's the issue of nafaqah, as we mentioned before, the spending. And we said, as one brother complained to me last night who was here from the other communities, an African imam, he said, wallahi, people need to deal with these issues. May Allah bless you for having the courage and knowledge to share with us this. He said, because now it's a big problem in the immigrant community where a man doesn't want to take care of the responsibility. He said, and it's not that they don't always have the money. You're talking about people who are wealthy. But the mentality is, I pay 50, you pay 50. That's how the society is set up, you know, and people feel like, you know, I'm not taking care of you, or, well, you know, you need to pay your way too. Everybody pulls their weight. No, when a lady is righteous and she's worshiping Allah and she becomes your wife, then she's going to pull her weight. But pulling her weight doesn't mean that she has to share in the bills, and that's the man's responsibility. So that's the first thing. If the man can't, question number one about divorce and relationships, what happens if a man loses his ability to take care of his wife's responsibility in marriage? What happens if the man loses his responsibility or his ability, I should say, to fulfill his financial obligations? So that was a real life question. So I asked some people knowledge, what happens in the relationship if the man loses his ability, he loses his job, he had a good business, the business crashed, now he can't fulfill his financial obligation in the marriage? Some of the replies, generally, they said, number one, it depends on the degree of his inability, because the Prophet sometime he didn't have. Aisha said it was months, and we didn't see a fire in my house. Meaning the fire, we didn't cook meat. They used to term fire to mean cooking. So she said we didn't light a fire, or we didn't see a fire in our house for 8 months, sometimes 6 months. That means we have no food to cook. But we had maybe dates or water, or maybe something, you know, dry goods like this. But meat, and they consider meat like that's a real meal, you know. And so the Prophet ﷺ, Allah tested him, although he was the prophet, he could have had everything. Allah made and designed his life like that to teach us how to deal with this issue. If a man can't, he loses his ability financially in the relationship, he can't take care of his wife, what happens? What do we do? Is that grounds for divorce? Some of them, they said again, it depends on the severity. Maybe he lost his job 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It's not like he's been like that for 5 years, 10 years. It's a big difference. Okay, maybe he lost his stability because he lost his job, but he's part-time working or he's hustling, so he may not pay all the things he used to pay, but he's paying most of them. And the wife is paying some. Okay, like that. No problem. You know. And they also said, if he just loses all ability, then you have from the perspective of Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i. Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i. These are the 4 great Imams. Abi Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad. Their teachings and then their students' teachings and what was attributed to their teachings lasted and spread the most. You have other great Imams in history, but theirs the last. These 4 last. So Imam Malik and Imam Shafi'i, they both agree that the lady has the right to choose. If she wants to be patient, فَلَهَا أَن تَصْبِرَ, then she can be patient. If she wants to get out, فِسْغَ عَقْدَ النِّكَاحِ, the contract to be broken, I'm out of the relationship, she can do that. So Imam Shafi'i, along with Imam Malik, they take the position that if a man loses his ability to provide financially, it's up to the lady. If she wants to be patient, she can be patient. She wants to get out, dissolve the contract. She can't. Why? Because it's her right. It's a thing that must be maintained after you marry her, the spending part. You spend in the beginning together, and then you spend once you got her. That's part of the relationship, the contract, the responsibility, the right that she has on the man. Imam Abi Hanifa, he said she should he ain't had that business. He made an excuse. You know, business ain't doing so well right now. Yeah, he just played them. But you get in a relationship on GP and you serious and you straightforward, you lay everything out and you taking care of your business on what level you can, what you have, and she agree, and you agree. When you come on hard times, she's going to want to be patient because she's going to remember how you took care of business and how you was truthful. The part about being Rafiq on you, easy with it. You ain't rough with her, always yelling and cussing at this and that and beating on her. She gonna want that good treatment to continue, even though things are a little tight financially. So that's gonna be a compliment further for her to be patient. You're trying. You was a person who was working and doing stuff before. She knows you'll go out and get her, but you fell on hard times. So Imam Abi Hanifa takes that position in light of she should be patient because Allah said the one who is owed the debt, it should give that person who can't pay it more time and wait for them until Allah makes it easy. And that's ayat that's unrestricted. Allah didn't say 6 months, a year and a half. He just said in general. Until you're able. And if you write it off as charity, Allah says it's better for you. So that's the issue with regards to can the lady get out of the marriage if the man loses financial ability. Again, we said, some scholars said she could choose to be patient or get out, depending on the severity of it. If it's like long term and it's to the point that they lose everything, it's up to her to be patient, ride it out with them or get out. But Imam Abi Hanifa said, she should be patient until Allah Azza wa Jal, makes it easy for him to pay. And he used that ayah for that to use it generally for him taking care of her, because when you don't take care of her, guess what? You're indebted to her. You owe her now.
Shaikh, can I? And that's to assume that inshallah he's going to get another job, even though he fell upon hard times. But I can see if it was something catastrophic, health-wise, and he can't maintain that job because he's now totally disabled or something like that.
That's another issue. That's why I'm mentioning the stuff, the way the question was asked. If a man loses his ability financially, right? They didn't say he got sick, he didn't get sick, the crops died, the harvest is bad, he lost his job. They just said in general. Okay. And even if the man felt sick, if he fell sick, we talking about terminally where he can't work. No. Guess what? Other things going to suffer too. It's different from him falling sick, but he can still do stuff, or being disabled but not incapable. He felt sick to where he can't do nothing.
Correct.
The lady has needs. She don't have a way to provide. He was her only source. She not educated. She's from the country. She's this, she that, or she don't know how. Or she just feels, listen, I'm not going out and work. That's not my thing. That's why I married a husband, and I did my part. You got to do his part. It's up to her. Yeah. But that's why Imam Abi Hanifa he took the position of rahmah.
For that.
And the other two, they took a position, it's up to her. She could be patient, or she could get out, because it depends on the severity of the situation. No one situation is the same.
Correct.
And somebody could have lost their job, or lost their business, or lost their wealth, or their thing that they were doing, and they're blameworthy. If they're blameworthy, that's a different angle than somebody's not blameworthy.
Yeah, you got a lot of different approaches to that question. Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, so it was general, but the way we answer it the way that the scholars of Islam mentioned of the past, and then we add based on what we understand the society is like and the different angles. We add that in there. So you asked before I got to start putting the plugs in, but I just mentioned what's from the books, what those people said of the past, because that's what we go back to. We go back to the ayah, the hadith, the companion, the 4 imams, the tabi'een, and then we come down the line. You see, so I mean, again, when we talking about mercy and rahmah and all these things, and you know, everything is not always mercy, because again, if the person don't have ability because he did something wrong, that's different. That's different. That's different. And we put that in there. And then people's ability to be patient. Some people don't have the ability to be patient. They may want to, but they don't have the ability. So, each situation is different, and that's how
variables.
we answer those situations.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
the next question or situation about divorce is if a person if a person in the relationship just a second. Now, tell you, if the person in the relationship, the man, he abandons the wife. Allah, he mentioned this issue in the Quran. Those that وَالَّذِينَ والذين يتربصن بأنفسهم أربعة أشهر وأشرا. Those who make an oath, they're not going to be with their wife for 4 months and 10 days. And these ayahs are based upon what people were doing again at the time, because people would do things and Allah will send the ayah down the regular. So, for example, a man said, you know what? Obviously speaking, there's some type of beef in the house, or something he doesn't like, or something the wife did, or maybe, some issues that he's not doing what he should be doing, so she, puts pressure on him, and then his way out is, that's it. I'm out of here. So now he's upset. He's not going to be with her. He said, I'm not going to sleep with her for 4 months and 10 days.
But can he do that?
Be patient. I'm mentioning the scenario from the Quran. This. So he leaves and give you the story, the backdrop before the eye. And then now that lead is left with abandonment. Again, let's look and try to imagine all the stuff you learned from what you heard today and yesterday and the day before. The rights that we mentioned, the roles, this, that, how to deal, all of that still, it's on the table. So if a man, he leaves for 4 months and 10 days, he still got to make sure she got a place to stay, food to eat, proper clothing, she's protected in the environment, he can't provide daily support, emotional support, intimate sexual support, because he's not there. So he's already in a negative. Anything that she's supposed to be able to get from him, if he's not accessible, that's a problem. So what happens if the 4 months and 10 days come? And he said, I swear, he's making an oath. That's the first problem. If you're going to do something, don't say, I make an oath, I swear by Allah, I'm going to do this, and if I don't do this, don't do it. When you swear like that, you make an oath, if you don't fulfill it, you have a big sin on you. And the way to get it off, you have to fast a certain amount of days to get that sin off. You can't just say, astaghfirullah, Allah, I said something I was going to do, I didn't do it. No, if you make an oath, you vow to do something, that's a big sin. So much so the prophet said, don't make no oaths, because there's no benefit for you. Just do what you're going to do or don't do it. But once you make an oath, you bind into that. And if you don't do it, there's a big sin on you. And the only way to get that sin off, you have to fast a certain amount of days or free some slaves. And we're not in a place where you can free slaves, you know. You have to, or feed a certain amount of people to get that sin off.
Shaikh, does the ayat?
Wait. So the man left, and at the end of 4 months and 10 days, in which he said he wasn't going to touch his wife for those 4 months and 10 days, and he left. Allah then told him, Allah revealed the verse, solving the issue. Either you go back on your word, because you made an oath. He said, I swear I'm not going to touch my wife. And he left. So Allah put a cap on it, 4 months and 10 days. Because had Allah not revealed the ayah 4 months and 10 days, that could have turned into 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. You just abandon your wife. That's not right. So Allah put a cap on it because the man left with an open oath. I'm not going to touch you ever. I swear. And left her. But it's still his wife.
Yes.
He didn't divorce her. He just abandoned her. And so Allah gave him 4 months and 10 days. And if he doesn't come back in 4 months and 10 days and have relationships with her, then the marriage is automatically over. That's the seriousness of abandonment. And Allah revealed it in the ayah. والذين يترون أزواجهم وصية يتربصن بأنفسهم أربعة أشهر وأشهر. And those who make an oath to leave their mates, they left their wives, in other words. 4 months and 10 days, Allah said. And when that time is up, if you go back on your word, Allah said ain't no harm. Once you do that, you gotta make the, thing right, fix it. But if you don't come back, that's it. The marriage is automatically nullified. And we had a case like that in Yemen, where the man, he didn't abandon her, but he said he was going to make Hajj. And he was going an illegal route to make Hajj. Because he didn't have money. Many of the students would do that. They're close to Saudi Arabia, 10 hours away. They would try to sneak in and make Hajj. He left her. 6 months passed. He didn't show up. Hajj happened and it's over. People came back, visited their families in other countries, returned back to where we were seeking knowledge. This guy didn't show up.
Wow.
A year passed. You don't know if he got killed in a car accident. If he's missing, is he in jail? Did he just use that excuse, abandon or what? So after about a year and a half, 2 years, she went to the judge, and the judge used that ruling to say that's it. The marriage is nullified. Because the ruling is like abandonment.
Yes.
Right.
Because he didn't contact her saying, okay, this, that. This is that he just left her. And they were beefing before he left. That makes it bad.
Okay.
Me and my wife beefing. And I said, you know what, I want to make Hajj. But we beefing, and then I just get my stuff and leave. She said, well, I think he said he was going to make Hajj, but really we was beefing, and he just got stuff and left. I think he went to make Hajj. Or I might say, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm going to make Hajj. But she know he's upset. He's hot. We was arguing. He said he was going to leave. He tired of the stuff. I go make Hajj and he'll come back 4 or 5 months. In her mind, he ain't making no Hajj. He just said that he abandoned me. You see? Then when that lady got ready to get married, going with her life after 2 years, guess who showed up? Yes. The husband.
Yeah.
But he ain't the husband no more because he stayed gone for 4 months and 10 days. The judge gave her the breach of the contract because of his abandonment.
Yes,
It was abandonment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Yeah,
was.
it's abandonment. The ruling is clear.
Didn't keep his oath.
But in this case, the guy didn't make no oath. He just left going to make Hajj, but there was some internal friction. But he didn't come back. If you go make Hajj, why you don't call? There's phones.
No, I'm saying he made an oath when he got married to her.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we can't call that an oath. We don't call that an oath Islamically.
Oh, no,
The Christians call that an oath, but we don't make an oath when we get married. That's different. Yeah. We do a contract, but we don't make an oath because oath means you can't never go back on your word.
Yeah.
But our marriages are not like that. Like the Christians, you make an oath to death do us apart. You say, I do. No. That's an oath. Mm-hmm. I'll never leave you. We don't do that. We don't have that in our marriage. We make a contract, and there's some cases where you can get divorced. Yeah. There's some that's mandatory. You should. So we don't have an oath in our marriage.
I'm talking about in terms of our covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We enter into an agreement on how we was going to uphold that covenant in terms of the things you outlined in previous days about how men and women, husband and wife should interact. And then when he exceeded that 4 months and 10 days, thus to break it.
Yeah, exactly. From that perspective, exactly. You're 100% right. Yeah, so that one, that question is asked in reference to abandonment, and the response the scholars said in the past and the present, they said the same thing. If that person leaves, she doesn't know where he is, she can be patient, because maybe something happened to him or something like that. But if it's clear he abandoned her beyond 4 months and 10 days, then either she can go and get it nullified, or that judge might say it's already nullified based on the 4 months and 10 days. Every case is different. Like in this case, she thought like he got locked up, maybe something happened, because people used to get caught sneaking to make Hajj. But in his case, he never called back. Right. He never informed about it. Other people went, made Hajj, came back to Yemen where we were. They went illegal. So what's his case? Like, what's up? Nobody said, oh yeah, I seen him. He got detained like 6 months, a year, 2 years. Right. So, Allah Mustar. But that's another way that people can get divorced. That's the point. Another way, and the question about it. The question was asked, what about a lady or a man who's accused of fornication or adultery? And in this case, they said the lady, because she's pregnant, and in the case of the man, because he says that he was with somebody else, or he was accused of sin, and so like this. So let's take the scenario about the man. If he was seen and accused, then they say that lady has to have evidence. As Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in our religion, فَلَمْ يَأْتُوا بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاءِ فَاجْلِدُوهُنَّ 80 جَلْدَةً. If that person doesn't bring 4 witnesses for their accusation, Allah said that they should be beat 80 times. So, for example, I see you late night, subhanAllah, in the car with a lady. No, it's not your wife. I don't know who she is. Her hair is out. She's not covered. This, that. You look at me. I look at you. You drive off. You don't say salam. In my mind, damn, he's out speaking. You got a girlfriend. Who was that? If I go around my mouth, you know what? I think he's, sleeping around. Plus, I accuse you. Right. Allah said in the case where somebody says somebody else was sleeping around, they have to have 4 witnesses. Meaning 4 people have to have all 8 eyes. It may be 10 if somebody wore glasses, because they call them 4 eyes. It was glasses when I was growing up. All 4 people have to have seen the same thing. Through the window, we was walking past, the window curtain is open. We just happened to look to the left, and somebody's in there humping. Guess who it was? Who would have been that? And it wasn't his wife, because his wife is pretty and brown skinned. That was a white lady. Everybody has to describe how you look. You had a haircut, you had your shirt on, your shirt was off, were you skinny, did you have muscles, did you have a tattoo, the private was in her, you see you humping, not you was just laying on top of her. It's very, very graphic, very detailed. A man came to the Prophet and he said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, I caught a man laying on top of my wife. I'm going to cut his head off. The Prophet said, do you have 4 witnesses? Man said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm going to cut his head off. So imagine a man walk in, stick the key in the door, open the door, man laying on top of his wife. To him, this guy slept with my wife. He's not going to say, well, I didn't see him in action. He's just laying on top. No, I'm going to kill him. That's how he went to the Prophet. The Prophet said, you got 4 witnesses. There was a story where people accused the man. When they took the case to the Prophet, each person was interviewed separately. One person said he had long hair. The other person said he had a baldy. One person said he was light-skinned. The other person said he was brown. One person said he was short. All the other people said he was tall. But it was this guy was supposed to went in a man's house while he was on a trip, traveling, and was in there with his wife. So it said he made zina, because the ruling is if you go in secret with a lady, we don't know what you did, we assume you did something with her. And that's a real ruling in Islam. If you go behind closed doors, you married a lady on contract, go to the hotel, take her to the house, she get undressed, and you say, whoa, I didn't know she had a tattoo on her chest with the devil. Or man, I didn't know she was missing the breast. Or man, she got a scar across her stomach. I can't lay with her, that turns my stomach. Say, ma'am, I'm sorry. May Allah forgive me, but, I'm going to not go through with this. I'm not going to consummate. Here's half the money that I was supposed to give you. May Allah bless you, you leave. The Islam says, number 1, you was in secret with her. Number 2, they said if you close the curtains, we assume the ruling is you owe her a dowry as if you consummated with a wife. Because we don't know that you was behind closed doors long enough, we have to assume that. That's the nature of a woman and a man.
Whether there was penetration.
It doesn't make a difference, because we going on what's called ihtimam, what it could more than likely. See, in the religion, there's principles. We don't be knowing the principles, so we don't know how to move. That's called ihtimam. It could have been or could not been. So if I marry a lady, the intention is to consummate and be with her sexually and live with her. I go behind closed doors. Don't nobody know what's discussed. In their mind, he consummated, they married, they happy. I'm in there 2 hours, 45 minutes, half the night. Then I leave. They don't know. She have to say, we didn't consummate it. She have to go home crying. I didn't go through with it. The contract is over. I'm not married. I'm divorced because he told me right then and there, I'm divorcing you. And if you divorce a lady like that, there's no enter. It's just the contract is breached because you didn't consummate. So the same thing with this case, they assume that man went in and made zina because the man who was the husband traveled. This is a strange man. He going in that man's house in his absence. He in there for 2-3 hours. Ooh. But the religions say you got to be in the closet and all y'all jump out. What you doing? Or you got to be looking through the window. You got to see it. Wow. All in detail. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, vividly. His private was in her. How do you know? Because he was in the boom, boom. I seen it. And you got this. It's got to be like no way that person it can be a mistake because that person's life is on the line.
Exactly, yeah, right.
They're going to stone them, beat them. If he never been married before, if he been married before, stone him.
Did that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yes.
And this ruling is in the Torah with the Jews. This is an old ruling. So the prophet said to the man, do you have 4 witnesses? He said, listen, I don't care what you say. I'm going to cut his head off. Because he was mad. So what's the point? Allah said, unless you have 4 witnesses. So my point is, this question they ask, if the man is assumed or it's said or it's an accusation, he was with the lady, it's not enough. It's not enough for him to get divorced. It's not. It's not. But at the same time, that can be something the man plays with. And there's a thing that when they back and forth like this, the prophet is called li'an, where you swear to curse on that person if they lie. So you say, I swear by Allah, I didn't make no zina with nobody. I swear by Allah 4 times. And the 5th time you say, and may Allah curse me if I'm lying. Then the lady, she was pregnant. The man said she made zina. Went to the prophet. She made illegal intercourse. How do you know? Say, because that ain't my baby. She pregnant by me. He might have been gone for 6 months. Now she's 4 months pregnant. Okay, he could say that's my baby because he was gone 6 months. So if she's 4 months pregnant, he's been gone 6 months. She's 4 months pregnant. That means somebody else had relationships with her.
Right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yes.
I was ready to say that ain't his baby if he been going 6 months.
Yeah. You can't say that's his baby. I'm married.
Exactly.
He a fool if he go for that.
Exactly. Well, some of them do.
Yeah. But if he's going 6 months and she's 7 to 8 months pregnant, then you say, okay, what are you talking about? You've been gone, I've been pregnant all this time, when you going, I'm going to kill you. You're talking about somebody else's baby. What do you think I am? He gone 6 months, she's 4 months pregnant. SubhanAllah. Or he got a problem. He can't get her pregnant.
Yeah, right. Or
now she's pregnant all of a sudden in his absence. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ had both of them, and the lady said, well, Allah, he lying, and this is baby. I ain't slept with nobody. So the Prophet told that lady, do the li'an. She said, I swear by Allah, I ain't sleep with nobody, and if I did, may Allah curse me. And he lying. No, she said, he lying. She swore 4 times, the 5th time, and if I'm lying, if he lying, may the curse of Allah be on him. He said 4 times, she lying, and if I'm telling a lie, may the curse of Allah, and if she's telling a lie, may the curse of Allah be on her. So both one, they put the curse of Allah, the lie swear, on the other one, the opposition. Right. And then the ruling is they have to go their separate ways, and they can never ever marry again. The marriage is nullified. Yeah. Wow. So these serious issues. And for us sometimes, because we're not in a Muslim country, we can't go to the Muslim judge. Of course, the Prophet ain't here. We just play with them. But if we understand the severity of them, the rules and regulations of them, it might help us to fear Allah more and stay away from them. Because at the end of the day, when you die, Allah is waiting on you. No. The penalty you're going to get in the hereafter is worse than any penalty you can get in this life. Because you're dealing with the rights that you owe somebody. The contract you made, the marriage, you know. You have to keep, and like Kareem said, we don't like the word oath because in our culture it means one thing, and in Arabic if you say mother, that means an oath with you got to do something if you don't keep the oath. But the word in the Surah Al-Ma'idah, yani awfu bil uqud, it means like oath or contract. So so you know, this is a good way to look at it now. The next question and reason, this is a question about divorce. How do I divorce my wife? So a person asks, how do I divorce my wife? In other words, do I bring 2 people in the living room at my house and then do it? Do I do it? Nobody's there. Contact them, tell them. Do I say I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you 3 times in one sitting? How do I divorce my wife? So the reply to that, how do I divorce my wife, we said, firstly, the divorce is either twice or 3 times. Twice or 3 times. Meaning, you have either 2 times to divorce your wife and reconcile, or 3 times to divorce her, and then she has to go, and you can never be with her until she marries somebody else and get out of that marriage. So that is the divorce process. But that doesn't mean you divorce her like people used to get mad and say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you all at one time. No. So the process Islamically, you pronounce a divorce. Like here, you go fill out paperwork, you submit it to the clerk, they process it in the system. Then once it's in the computer, they give you the paperwork, says your divorce is process. Islamically, you tell the lady, Pt.4, you are divorced, I divorce you. One simple pronouncement. And once you do that, then there's something called the iddah. People like to say idat, because in English they mess these words up. Idat. What the heck is idat? I'm scratching my head. Oh, he means iddah.
What's the waiting period?
It's the ayn, iddah. They put in English I-D-D-A, idat. SubhanAllah. It's not idat, it's iddah. So the iddah is the period that your paperwork is being processed. The period in which you have to wait until the divorce is final. And some people think this iddah is 90 days. It's common to hear people say the divorce is lasting 90 days. No, the divorce is, Allah said, Quru'i, 3 periods, 3 terms. So what's the periods or terms? Some scholars said it means the 3 periods when the lady has her menstruation, and then now you count, she just came up yesterday, she's praying, until the next time she comes on her mince. So let's say she minced for 21 days, because everybody's cycle is different. So if she came off yesterday, the 29th, then you will count 21 days past the 29th, and then if she came on the 22nd day, that's the first iddah is over. The first term of your waiting for the divorce to be final has been completed. Then once she finished that second period, let's say this time it's not 21 days, it's 14 days, because people's cycles are different. Sometimes they change, they're consistent, they're regular. So the second time, 14 days she bleeds. She starts bleeding, and she comes off. The 15th day, you count. Now she's clean for a whole month. She's clean for a whole month, from the 15th to the 15th of the next month. She's praying. Once the 16th comes, and she says, oh man, I'm bleeding, I'm not praying, the second iddah period has completed. The second period of waiting for the marriage to be final has been completed. Then now, she starts back her menses the 3rd time. Let's say this time it's 9 days. And after 9 days, the 10th day she comes off. She comes off, and she's praying now. She prays for 4 days. And she says, my menses started back. She didn't say it's like I'm spotting. She said it started back regular, or it's heavy bleeding. Guess what? She's not your wife no more. The three cycles is over. And when she becomes pure, that 3rd time, the next time she menses, once she becomes pure, that's it. She's not your wife no more. The marriage has ran out. So you got 3 menstrual cycles. The first one, I mentioned 21 days of bleeding. Then she comes off, the period of purity, she's praying. Okay, once she menses again, the second time, you completed 1 period. Because the period is when she's praying, that's what you count. Okay, second time she bleeds for 14 days. When she comes off, she's praying again. Okay, you counting the period she's praying. She bleeds, and after that period of praying, then she comes back on the menses. That menses, once she finishes, she's praying again, you finish 2. Now that third time she's clean, when she goes on the menses, she's bleed for 9 days. When she comes off and she's clean to pray, that's it. Or she bleeds, and then 4 days later, it comes right back on. When those 4 days leave and she's praying again, that's it, it's over. So you got 3 periods of when she's praying after she bled to count for the 3 extra cycles. Some scholars said it's not when she's clean and when she's bleeding. So some to take the position, because the word is a general word. It says kurui. Kurui means terms. But a lot of them say terms of bleeding or terms of purity. So some scholars say terms of purity. Imam Malik said no, it means terms of when she bleeds. So for the one who takes the term to mean when she bleeds, when she first comes on her menses, and now she's clean, she's praying, that's 1 period because you're counting the bleeding. Then when she come on the second when she bleed, and she come up when she pray, that's 2. The next time she bleed, that's 3. She finished bleeding, you don't have to wait until the pure period she prays and it's over, because that person's counting the menstrual cycles. And they said the benefit of counting the pure cycles to be what's meant as the term, it's longer. You get more time. Because normally people, when they have the menses, they praying, they have more time praying than bleeding. Except if the menses is really irregular and bad. Yeah.
All right. What if she's not bleeding at
Then
all?
if she's not, I'm going to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to get to that point.
Jazakallah.
If she doesn't have a menses at all, then those scholars said, or she's too old, or she's too young. Then it says she has 9. That's when you say 90 days. But some people say 90 days right away, or just make it general 90 days if not prayer. The only time it's 90 days is when they don't or can't bleed, or they stop having the menses. Then it becomes 90 days. Yeah, so that one is one type. Yeah, the divorce, and the others, when you divorce them for the 3rd time, they have to go on with their life, and they have to marry someone else. It doesn't work out before you can try it again if you guys think that you can work it out. So those are 2 types of divorce. And then some of them said, as the prophet mentioned, to bring 2 witnesses. When you get married, it's also in the sunnah to bring 2 witnesses when you divorce. But some scholars say it's not mandatory. And others said that you should bring them when you pronounce a divorce, because if you divorce and there's a discrepancy, then the witness can solve the discrepancy. But if you don't have witnesses, or if you divorce and then you don't tell so-and-so after the divorce the details, then you don't have someone to help you with the discrepancies. Now, and then the last question, they said, what if husband divorces the wife, and the husband and wife have a discrepancy about how many times? This is common.
How many times?
How many times? The husband and the wife be different. They don't say the same thing about how many divorces. The wife said it's 3 times. The husband said, I don't remember. Then the scholars, they said, when it's a case like that, you choose the lower number. He said, I'm sure I divorced you too, but I don't remember the third time. Then they say, yeah, al-hukmu bana ala yaqeen, that you judge based on what you're sure about. So the wife says 3 times. The husband disagrees. He said, I'm sure about 2, but I don't remember 3, I'm not sure. So the matter see, we take the least amount of number because they both sure about 2. 2 times occurred. 2 times happened. The discrepancy is, was it the 3rd or not? So let's see, we take the lower number. It said, but now, if the discrepancy, then he divorced her 3 or 5 times. If you take the number 3, guess what? You gotta release her. Because you can only divorce the lady for 3 times before she has to leave and marry somebody else. And if that doesn't work out, then she can come back and you guys can start a new contract if you feel that you could be okay together in the relationship. But if a person is in doubt, then the rule is you leave what you're in doubt about and you go with what you're sure. So that's the example that you should take the lower number, so as long as it's between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, but this is between 3 and 5. Taking the lower number doesn't help you because you can only divorce the lady 3 times. And of course, the issue, the last question they asked about talaq al-bid'i, talaq al-bid'i, the divorce that's bid'ah. Divorce bid'i, this means it's a divorce that is against the sunnah of the Prophet. For example, divorcing the lady while she's on her mens. You can't divorce her while she's bleeding. And she became pure. She's not bleeding anymore. She's bathed. You had relations with her. And then you